Hello Revolution students, and welcome back to another video on the Russian Revolution. In this video I'm going to cover one of the new topics that has been added to the 2022 study design for the Russian Revolution, and it is initiatives in education. When we're studying this topic, we've always got to keep in mind that educating the masses was one of the key goals of the Bolsheviks once they got into power, because they saw education as a way of empowering the people, the workers in particular. So let's get into it. So one of the early measures that the Bolsheviks put in place was that they set up this Commission for Education and Enlightenment in November 1917, and they appointed Anatoly Lunacharsky as its head. He was a Bolshevik. He was one of Trotsky's allies, and like Trotsky, he joined the Bolsheviks after the July days. He joined the Bolsheviks in, I think, early August 1917. This Commission for Education and Enlightenment was called Narkompros, and you can see it there. So in the exam, if you do get a question about initiatives in education, you can use the Russian title for this commission, for the People's Commissariat for Education and Enlightenment. And one of its main goals was universal literacy, so literacy for all men and women in Russia. One of its early decrees was the Decree on Schools, and it removed schools from the control of the Orthodox Church and placed them under the control of Narkompros, as you can see there. So prior to the February 1917 revolution anyway, the vast majority of schools were run by the Orthodox Church in Russia. Now, apart from empowering the masses through education, another objective of the Bolsheviks through educating the people was that they believed that if the peasants could read, they could access party propaganda, develop class consciousness, and come to support the revolution. So they already knew that the workers would, or the vast majority of workers would support the revolution because it empowered them, but they also wanted to try to get the majority support from the peasants as well. And through education, that was a means of doing that. In December 1917, the Soviet government also issued the Decree on Illiteracy that ordered all illiterate Russians aged between 8 and 50 to learn to read and write. Anyone who refused to learn to read and write could be arrested, and it was a criminal offence. In conjunction with that, they also set up in July 1920 the Literacy Checker. And the literacy checker had the authority to conscript personnel as teachers. So anyone who was educated, they were forced to become teachers. And they also had the power, the literacy checker, to arrest people who refused to learn to read and write. And you can see on the side there is a poster with the caption, "The illiterate person is a blind man. Everywhere pitfalls and misfortunes await him." So that was one of the various propaganda posters that the Bolsheviks produced in order to promote education amongst the masses. Okay, so let's have a look at some key stats. So the first one is associated with this Commission for Eradication of Illiteracy, which was set up in conjunction with the Literacy Checker. And they created 30,000 Likpunkti, which were literary schools, as well as 33,000 libraries or reading rooms to help the people to learn how to read and give them access to books and so forth. So with these various educational policies and measures that they put in place, the Bolsheviks did achieve some improvement in literacy rates within Russia. So by 1927, they had increased literacy by between 10 to 15% of the population. Some key quotes. So here is one from Lenin. "The illiterate person stands outside politics. First, it is necessary to teach him the alphabet. Without it, there are only rumours, fairy tales and prejudices, but not politics." And the second quote I have is from Bukharin, and it was from a speech that he made on church and school in the Soviet Republic in May 1919. And he stated that the object of the communist Bolsheviki is quite different. They wish to free all learning from the control of capital. They wish to make all science accessible to the working masses. They wish to destroy the monopoly, the exclusive right of the wealthy in education. That is the fact of the matter. And there is, you can see on the side there, another propaganda poster created by the communists to promote education and literacy within Russia in 1920. Okay, let us have a look at a couple of historical interpretations now in relation to initiatives in education. So the first one is from Robert Service, and it's a nice short one, and I took this straight from the HTAV Russian Revolution Study Guide. And Robert Service wrote, or writes, despite all the problems, the Soviet regime retained a vision of political, economic and cultural betterment. So they had many challenges that they had to face, the Bolsheviks, but their goal was to try to improve the political landscape, the economic landscape and the cultural landscape, better it within Russia. And the second historical interpretation is from Richard Pipes, and he writes, as with everything else in communist Russia, classroom activities were to be conducted in a politically correct manner. For Lenin, there was no such thing as politically neutral education. Accordingly, the party program of 1919 defined schools as an instrument for the communist transformation of society. This entailed cleansing pupils of bourgeois ideas, especially of religious notions. Propagation of atheism occupied a central place in the curriculum of Soviet schools. So we can see from a Bolshevik perspective, education was also, I suppose, enabled the Bolsheviks to wage class warfare within the intellectual sphere, and attack bourgeois ideas, and also support for the church within Russia. I hope you have enjoyed this video on initiatives in education in Russia during the and after the Bolshevik Revolution, and I shall see you next time. Goodbye.